Start streaming. Press all the right buttons. Hope the computer doesn't blow up.
Oh, wait, hold on. I got to get my camera down so Ricky can see my shirt.
Oh, nice. Like
Yeah.
Coach Chipper.
Oh
Right
Coach,
on.
yeah,
hit like Coach Tiffer.
I
Hey,
love it.
that's for real this year. He's a coach
Yeah,
this year. Yeah,
that's
that's
right.
awesome.
Oh, yeah. As soon as they re-signed Ozuna, I went on a T-shirt spree.
Nice.
I got
Nice.
two Ozuna shirts and I got a Chipper shirt. I was like,
That's
I'm getting
awesome.
three.
I love it. Man, I love Ozuna. God, he's great.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of money with Breaking Tea. They make some good stuff. I got a couple T-shirts, a couple Chase T-shirts. I got like four Braves T-shirts from them now. Like,
Nice.
That's cool.
Let me grab a little bit more drink here before we
Right
get.
on. You know,
that's a good idea.
I have I've whittled my T-shirts now down to there's exactly two categories. There is T-shirts that have like all my work logos on them because we do a lot of like T-shirt campaign stuff, and then there's NASCAR, and that's all the T-shirts that I own at this point. Like it's all NASCAR. I mean, look at that, like Coke 600 shirt that we got when we went, and yeah, everything's work or NASCAR.
So
That's
I would say then I guess I've got four categories because I've got Georgia Tech
Mhm.
and I've got Braves and then I've got racing and then I've got stuff that's just funny.
Yeah.
I've got Braves, a lot of Braves, a lot of Virginia. That's about it, honestly, at this point. Well, no, I'm sorry. The third category is bands. A lot of
There you go.
Metallica with a
I,
little bit of classic rock shirts.
so I do have a Metallica shirt and I do have a Leonard Skinner shirt that are definitely in the rotation.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I guess I've got Georgia Tech shirts and Braves and Falcons and whatnot, but I mean, it is a majority. Like, I guess there's the three categories: NASCAR, work, and other. and,
Right.
and other might have two or three of the same category, but they're, yeah,
Oh yeah, other includes funny and bands.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
And the same applies to hats, as it were.
Oh gosh,
Except for there's a beer category for that.
Right.
yeah.
That I guess is in the other bands, beer, but then it's Braves, Georgia Tech, Chase Elliott, formerly Casey Kane.
Yeah, yeah. I've probably got equivalent numbers of NASCAR hats and other, and it's a lot of hats. So,
Yeah.
and here's another right here, Zion National Park. I saw this
Sweet.
real pretty girl walking around with this hat on in Zion, and she made it look real good. And I said, "Gal, where'd you get that hat?" And she said, "I got it at the whatever visitor center thing." So I went and got me that hat, and I sure don't look as pretty, but I do like the hat.
It's a good hat.
Yeah,
Like old Gus McCrae from Lonesome Dove said, I ain't one to give up on a garment just because it's got some age to it.
hmm
I actually just brought while I was up in Virginia, I went digging around in the attic and brought dug up old Rick Mass t-shirts because girlfriend and I are going to the Atlanta Cup race, and
yeah.
I found a Rick Mass t-shirt for her. She wanted one for Christmas, so I found one, and then while I was home this time I dug up some more so that we weren't wearing, because I found two of the same one before, but I couldn't find any others, so I finally found some others this time. So I didn't want us to show up wearing the same Rick Mass t-shirt. So
Dude,
I'm still wearing a Rick Mass t-shirt, but a different one.
I put it
I'm
in the
gonna,
show
I'm gonna have
notes.
to drum me up a Rick Mass shirt. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. I need
For
to find one.
Darlington or something like that.
Yeah, I put it in the show notes. Your tweet about which shirt should you wear,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I looked. I started on the left, and I'm like, well, you got to wear that one. Then I looked on the right, and I'm like, oh, but that one, like, I don't know, man. So that's
There's a couple others that I didn't include because those two are like the ones, well, A, that I like the most, but also B, and more importantly, that would still fit me. Um,
Well,
but
that
there's
is
some
part of
others
the
like-
equation, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. There's a couple others we've got. There's one with just a giant cobra on it for some reason. There's another with like a guy riding behind the car. He's like a cavalier kind of looking guy with a sword riding a horse again
Yeah.
for just no apparent reason. So
Yeah.
90s NASCAR t-shirts were just, they were amazing. They really were.
We went to Darlington one year, and I bought two Robert Yates number 28 T-shirts. And at the time, I did not realize that when Rusty's like his first experience with racing, he was a Davey Allison fan.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a Davey Allison shirt and I had an Ernie Irvan shirt. And it became quite obvious when he reacted to them which shirt should be his. So I gave him the Davey Allison shirt, and I wore the Ernie Irvan shirt.
Davey Allison's my boy. Oh, man. Well, let's see. We are eclipsed on 9 p.m. Are we ready to do a show?
Maybe.
Maybe. Well, how about this? If you're ready in about a minute and a half, I'll squeeze in the first minute and a half and get the rest rolling.
No, I was just trying to get the YouTube up and me on mute, and I'm good.
10-4. All right, fellas, let me make sure I got all the buttons mashed. I think I do. All right, let's do this. We're recording now. Welcome, y'all! That's right. This is the Pregame Engineer Tailgate Mayor Racing Podcast, episode number 278. It's Tuesday, February 16th, 2021. I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace in the PTM Podcast Studio in Atlanta, Georgia. This week's show brought to you by, well, I should say, this podcast is sponsored by you. That's right. Go to patreon.com/PTM. Join the Watch Drink Club for as little as $1 a month. Get that free koozie and some stickers. Best part is every cent this year we're donating to sponsoring drivers. So join the PTM posse today. Be a part of the sport you love. This week's show brought to you by our official sponsors at that $5 and up per month level. Here we go. Aaron Bearden, Robert Kevlin, Coleman, Captain Ryan, Kiefer, Patrick Cleary, Jeff Brown, Brandon Crock, Kathleen McDonald, Brandon Carl, Rico Porter, Julie Bosley, Eddie Greer, Third, Young Motorsports, David Mullins, Patrick Johnson, Brett Morris, Crystal Smoke, Fred Rosado, Chad Knapp, Stacey Coleman, Lisa Chinana, Rick Houston, Sarah Anbari, Evan Roller, Matthew Bishop, Harry Bolzania, AJ Evangelista, Les Miller, and Jumpy Bob. Woo! Awesome. Well, we'll go ahead and bring him on from the PTM North Carolina studio. Pre-game engineer Andrew Sherwin. What's up, dude?
Skew, let's talk some Daytona and some Braves, baby.
Let's do that, dude. After last week's no notes show, I felt like I did better then when I didn't have notes in reading the intro than I did this time. So,
did you go back and review who you skipped?
I did. There was a whole single line. It's crazy because I've got it broken up into lines, and there was one whole line that I missed, and I can't believe it. It's funny because everybody in that line was there or wasn't there. So. Anyway, let's go ahead and bring him on. Back to the show. Senior in-game coordinator and host and producer at the Atlanta Braves, host of the Behind the Braves podcast. He's on Twitter at Ricky Mast. It's Ricky Mast. What's up, Ricky?
Fellas, it's good to see you. I think it's been not quite a year, but I feel like we just started like entering the shutdown when we last spoke, because I remember my iRacing career was just getting started because I had nothing else to do. So it's good to be back with y'all, and I don't want to say things are back to normal, but at least we're starting to see. We just had the Daytona 500, and baseball is getting ready to start. So that feels like normal to me. And they're both happening in February when they're supposed to. So I'll take that. I'll take what I can get at this point.
Right. Yeah. I wrote in on the notes here. I keep talking about the notes because we actually have some this week. But we last talked on PTM 239. So that's almost 40 episodes ago. And we called it, quarantine week 5. We were still counting the quarantine weeks back then as if it was some like, ha, 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 look at this. Well, it'll be over in a few. And look, we'll have half a dozen or a dozen episodes in quarantine, LOL. And here we are, much more hardened folks. Nearly a year later, that was back in, back in April when, like, I don't know, it was barely anybody with it. There's like 2 old people that died of it. And now we're, sorry, that's not appropriate. Anyway, what's going on? Sherwin, let's start with here. What you drinking tonight?
Good old classic white label Miller Lite.
Oh, dude, we're 2 brothers from different mothers. Got the white classic Miller Lite labels out. And on deck, not on deck, probably primary is a little mixer here. Ricky, how about you?
It
Nice.
just Diet Dr. Pepper. I can't lie to you. It's not. There's no. I just got back. I was just got back from Virginia, and my fridge is empty. There's like this much of a gallon of milk in there, and I opened it up earlier, and it is not good for consumption anymore. And then half a 2 liter of Diet Dr. Pepper, and so I didn't even have time to go to the store. So I'm sadly just drinking good old soda tonight.
So here's the real question: did you put the milk back in the fridge?
Yeah, I haven't thrown it away yet. We're inexplicably like, I'm not going to drink it. I don't know why. I had that thought like earlier. I opened it up, smelled it, and I was like, oh. And then I sometimes like I really get my nose in there because sometimes the top can smell a little bit, but the milk is still good. So I really dip down in there. No, it's all bad. And then I was like, I'll pour this out later, as if that's like some big task to pour out some milk and throw out the jug. But yeah, I put it back in and I was like, well, I'll throw it away tomorrow.
Oh man. My wife gets on to me for that. And I don't blame her. Like she's right. But I have that same, I don't know, mental block of like, oh, I'll take care of that later. Like I don't want to set it out because, and then it's just going to smell up the house, but I know it doesn't smell up the fridge cuz I hadn't smelled it yet. So, this is perfectly safe right here, and future Rusty will take care of that piece. So.
That's right. That's us
well,
guys
that's kind of like the method to the madness is you put it back in the fridge knowing that it's not good, but you're not going to throw it out until the trash is actually ready to go out to the road.
Right.
Because that thing will swell up and it'll burst inside your in the house trash can, and then that will suck.
Right. And then you forget to take it out, and then it's another week, and now it's there's a whole self-perpetuating thing here.
There is a method to the madness.
I haven't figured it out yet, but I'm open to to change.
Well, I live in an apartment, and the trash chute is like I walk out my front door, and it's right there. It's literally like 15 feet there. I got no excuses. Like I could just walk the thing out. I could walk the thing out there right now and only miss 15 seconds of this show. But I'm just that damn lazy. It's really what it amounts to.
Man. Quarantine week 72.
Well, here we are.
We're deep in it now.
Yeah. Now, Ricky, you said you just got back from Virginia visiting the fam. How's the fam doing? How's old Dad?
Dad is doing well. It was the last weekend that all 5 members of the fam could all be in the same place for probably a couple months. So I went up, and plus it was an added bonus that if I can go home and watch Daytona with the old man, that's always fun. So he's good, and I tell you, it was so much fun just to sit there and watch NASCAR, literally every night. I mean, the rain did its thing too, but we still got to watch racing every night. So man, that was great. It was great to see him, and he's doing well, and yeah, I'm pumped, man. I've just said on our latest episode of Behind the Braves, which just came out tonight, actually. Shameless plug. I was talking about how some people complain about this part of the year in the sports calendar. It's like, oh, the football's over and blah blah blah. And I'm like, this is one of my favorite times of the year, Daytona, and then pitchers and catchers report, and then NASCAR is off and running, baseball is off and running. So this time of year it's one of my favorite times of the sports calendar. It's just like both baseball and NASCAR, my 2 biggest things are. It's like this is the start of a brand new year, new slate. Anybody could win the whole thing in either series, as we saw at Daytona, and it's anybody's ball game sometimes. So, man, it was exciting. It was a good time to be home. We really enjoyed watching the races this weekend.
That's great. So, let's keep the shameless plug going here. Behind the Braves, tell us about what's going on, and you had your 75th episode recently, and celebrating that.
Yeah, it's great. So it's former Braves relief pitcher Greg McMichael. He was part of some of those great teams in the 90s. He was runner-up rookie of the year to Mike Piazza his rookie year in 93. Won the World Series with the Braves in 95. He's now the alumni director for the team, and he and I have been doing this show since fall of 2018. We launched it. He's a great guy, and he's got a great network of past players, current players. And we get players or people connected to the Braves from all walks of life. I mean, right now, with it being February, this is our third year we've done the show during Black History Month. So our first year we had Marquise Grissom, the late great Hank Aaron.
Oh, wow.
Last year, Bob Kendrick, who's president of the Negro Leagues Museum, and this year we've had Dana Brown, our scouting director, and then our latest episode this week's Tuki Toussaint, who's a young pitcher for us, great guy, great personality. So we do get to do lots of cool things like that. We've had famous fans on. We recently had Michael Kelly, who you might know from House of Cards, Sopranos, Jack Ryan. Gosh, we've had some singers on. We've had Jason Isbell. We got, I'll spoil it for anybody. We haven't put this out there publicly, but we got Cole Swindell. He's been on with us, and we haven't put that episode out yet, but it'll be coming out pretty soon. We've had Chase Elliott on. We went up to Charlotte a year or two ago, I guess. So it must have been 2019 now. It wasn't 2020, that's for sure. Went up to Charlotte and had Chase on. He's a big Braves fan. So it is obviously focused and centered around Braves baseball, Greg and I's show. But we incorporate a lot of different folks from Braves country, and the overlap between Braves baseball and NASCAR has been at least since I've been on this earth, it's always been there, and it's still there, which is kind of a cool thing to see, that even with the new generation of drivers, and that really we're about 2 generations of drivers removed from my dad's generation now, really, with if you look at it, but there's still these core group of guys that follow Braves baseball involved with NASCAR. So the show's doing well. We're again, this is our 3rd season. We continue with great guests, so we're having a blast. Greg and I are enjoying this as much as we did the very first episode. We've done almost 80 of them now, so looking forward to a really fun season of baseball, and just really excited, man. It's a great time.
Yeah. So I mean, you mentioned it with baseball, NASCAR, Braves, and NASCAR. I mean, Dale Murphy drove number 3. So,
Sure. Yeah, that's right. And actually, we're, Dale Earnhardt Sr. was a big Braves fan. You just Google Dale Earnhardt Braves, and you'll see multiple pictures of him wearing a Braves hat. He and Ned Yost were good friends. And of course, with the 20th anniversary of his passing coming up here, day after tomorrow, I guess. I mean, we'll see, but I'm hoping that we'll kind of do something a little for Dale on social media with the Braves. Feels right to at least put a post out there, because he was truly a Braves fan, and there are a lot of Braves fans that were huge fans of Dale Earnhardt as well. So, and then of course Dale Murphy in the 3. And I was, when I was a kid, got to meet at Rockingham one time. Got to meet Jeff Blauser on pit road, and I got him to sign my hat. Still got the hat. Terry Pendleton, 91 NL MVP. He was a NASCAR fan. He would come out to some of the races. So there's there's been a cross kind of pollination there, whatever you want to call it, there for a couple generations now, and it's cool that it's still carrying on.
I didn't realize TP was a fan. That's super cool.
Yeah, he would. So I didn't get to meet him at the races. I've gotten to meet him a few times and talked to him, interviewed him since. But actually, my dad met him when he came to Atlanta race sometime in the early 90s. And Dad got him to sign a few baseball cards for me, because I was, I don't know, 8 or 9 at the time, and still got those cards too. So those guys would show up. I met Ned Yost one time at a Skoll sponsored dinner for when Dad was still driving the Skoll car.
Yeah.
And I must have been here in Atlanta. I don't know where it was, but it probably was here in Atlanta. Ned came to one of the dinners. There's a strong connection there between the 2 things that I love, which is very cool.
Well, there was something somebody did recently about Dale that obviously included Ned Yost, but TP was in it. It was some sort of video publication. I can't remember exactly how I stumbled upon it. I'm sure it was from Twitter. But TP talked about how, like, they would go to the clubhouse and put the race on. Like, that was what was on in the Braves clubhouse in the early 90s, was NASCAR. I'm like, man, that's pretty cool.
It's very cool. And and that's what's crazy. That's how I became a Braves fan, was traveling in NASCAR in the early 90s. And of course, at that time, the Braves were on TBS. So no matter where we were, and this is pre, $1 million motorhomes. I mean, we were still staying at a Days Inn, wherever we were, wherever the race was that weekend. But wherever we were, you could watch the Braves on TBS. And so that, combined with the fact that NASCAR, obviously mostly based out of North Carolina, '91, the Braves were the worst of first team, turned it around, and went to the World Series. Well, Dad had just made it to Cup, and so I'm around all these pit crew guys every week, and all of them they're going back to the hotel every night and they're watching the Braves games, and they came to the racetrack talking about it the next day. I still remember a couple of the guys in the trailer, the back of the Skull trailer, one day. The day, I think it was the day after Otis Nixon made his infamous
Oh
catch where
man.
he like jumped 18 feet in the air and
Yeah.
caught the ball in center field. Everybody at the racetrack the next day was talking about that Otis Nixon catch. Did you see Otis Nixon's catch last night? So because of NASCAR is how I became a Braves fan. So and I Sherwin, I wish I could remember what that special is because I know what you're talking about. I've seen that where TP was talking about that, and I can't exactly place what it is, but I know that I know I've seen that at some point.
I wonder if it was a like behind the Braves episode that I watched or something where they just went off track because it was out of season, you know.
It could have been.
But it was neat. It was really neat. To Rusty's point, I mean, TP was my favorite player at that time until Chipper showed up.
Yeah.
And to hear him talk about how much he was interested in NASCAR, I was like, man, the Braves they were in it.
Oh, absolutely.
They were all up in the sport.
Yeah, and Chipper's a big NASCAR fan. The Dillon brothers are both big Braves fans now. I mean, it just keeps on going and going. So, and I hope that carries on for a long time.
Yeah. Now you mentioned the Hank Aaron stuff, and of course with his recent passing and everything. But you've spent some time with him. Tell us about that. How was that? Like, I don't know how I could even talk to somebody like that without just hi.
Right. Yeah.
I love you.
Well, I had the same feeling. I was around Mr. Aaron altogether, I think 5 or 6 times. I got to interview him 3 times. And that first time and it was just me. That first time it was for Major League Baseball, and it was a Facebook Live we did with him in 2016 to help promote the Hank Aaron Award was coming up. Like they were going to present the Hank Aaron Award. And so he agreed to do just a live Q&A with fans on MLB's Facebook page. And so it was literally just me and him, his driver / bodyguard Cedric, and Beth Marshall from Braves PR, just the 4 of us in a room at Turner Field before we moved to the new ballpark, and with my phone and just Facebook Live from my phone. And I was just it was just 10 minutes was all it had to be. And I was so nervous. I was excited beyond belief because I mean, oh my God, it's Hank Aaron. But I was very nervous, and I became not nervous by the way that he acted, in that he came in and he just made you feel so comfortable. And the best way I can describe him to everybody, at least in the times I got to be around him, was he made me feel like I was talking to my granddaddy. And I was always really close to my granddaddy, and he just had that same feel where he was just like, just joking and happy and jolly, and just made you feel very comfortable. There was no like prima donna or diva or anything about him. He was just a really nice, warm, gentle, sweet, humble man. And the coolest thing about that first time, so we did the Facebook Q&A for 10 minutes, and he didn't really have anything else going on for a little while. So he ended up just hanging out in the room, and we all just chatted for 20, 30 minutes. And he was asking where I was from. And then I told him where in Virginia, and he's like, oh, he was telling me about an old teammate of his that had spent some time in Roanoke, and then telling me stories from back in the day. And it was just like, I'm just sitting there going, I could die right now, a happy man. Like, I didn't just interview Hank Aaron. Now I'm just sitting here just shooting the breeze with Hank freaking Aaron. Are you kidding me? Like, that's stupid that they're allowing me to do this. I should not be here. This should not be allowed. Yeah. And then I was lucky enough we had him on Behind the Braves in 2019 for about 45 minutes, which was great. Really cool stories he told us there. So if you're interested in baseball at all, or just history in general, he talks a lot about Jackie Robinson in that episode, and just some cool things from him back in the past. I would recommend that. And then the last time was actually last April, after the pandemic had started, on the anniversary of leading up to the anniversary of him breaking Babe Ruth's home run record. I called him, or I got to call him at home and interview him by phone to promote some stuff we were doing for that anniversary. And I can say this now. They had me call his landline at his house. So I still have it in my phone. Obviously, I was never going to call it again, but it was just like, I got Hank Aaron's number in my phone. Like I can say that kind of.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, it's so sad that he's gone. I mean, it just, all of us that are associated with the Braves, it was just so sad, and it hit us all hard. And but man, we were just so happy and proud to celebrate him in the life, because not just the baseball player, because the baseball player was one of the best, and I could argue the best of all time. But the man that he was, and the things that he endured off the field, and the things that he did other than baseball off the field, to me, he's an American hero and American icon. So, we were sad to lose him, but man, what you talk about, a life well lived. You're not going to find any better than Hank Aaron, I don't think.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny you said April, because that's when you came on PETM last. So, going from either Hank Aaron to PETM or other way around. I mean, what a stark contrast between two.
Hey man, you got to be eclectic in life in all areas. You got to just be eclectic and hang with everybody. That's the best way to be.
Yeah, yeah. So what's going on with the Braves? What's the plan? How are we looking?
We're looking good, man. I think we could use, and I'm not, maybe this isn't any spoilers here. I mean, this is Alex Anthopoulos, our general manager, said this, like, could probably stand to add another bullpen arm, maybe another bench bat for the outfield. But man, this is the core group of this team is as good as we've been in a generation. I think, we were within one game of the World Series last year, and I think we're going to be right there again this year. Our division is extremely tough, really tough, but I still love our guys. I mean, it's there's as much enthusiasm behind this team as I think I've seen since I was a kid. This particular team. I mean, it's we could be really strong. Again, you just never know. It's like anything else.
Sure.
I mean, injuries can happen. Another team can just put it all together and just flat out be better than you. But I'll tell you this, at our young core, you're not going to find a more exciting team in baseball than this Atlanta Braves team. I mean, Ronald Acuna is a superstar already. Ozzie Albies is right there. Freddie Freeman's the reigning National League MVP. And hitting right behind him is going to be the guy who almost could have won MVP and almost won the Triple Crown, Marcell Ozuna. A young pitching staff that we've got paired up with a couple good free agents, veteran signings. So, man, it's just I'm always itching for baseball season to start, no matter how I think the team's going to do. But this is the most I have been anticipating and ready for a Braves baseball season to start ever. I mean, that's legit. That's how excited I am. So if that answers your question, we're looking pretty darn good, I think.
Absolutely. And the fact that, we had such a weird season, this last one and everything. So itching to see some more sports, kind of actually make it normal for a minute.
Oh, I know. That was so. I worked all of our games, or our home games last year, from the press box, and it was, once the game started, it mostly felt normal just because you're so focused on the game, and they kind of had the crowd noise down pretty good to where they had the right sounds going at the same time, so that was good. But man, I would leave after each game, and I live here in the Battery, which is the development with the ballpark, and I'd walk home. And it would be so quiet, and it just hurt my heart to see it, because I'm like, this is a baseball game. Kind of, it's like a NASCAR race or anything else. It's like, man, there should be people. You should be smelling hot dogs and beer, and people just laughing, wearing their gear, whatever, if they're at the racetrack, wearing their Chase Elliott T-shirt, or here they're wearing their Acuna jersey, like. That's what you should see. And it was just like, man, I'll never forget that feeling of like, God, I cannot wait till the day when we got people back in here again. And, hopefully that's going to happen this season. Nothing's been announced official yet, but I feel like we're trending in the right direction. The Super Bowl had a decent sized crowd. Daytona had over 30,000. And so we're, I don't know where we'll end up with that starting out the season. But I tell you, at this point, just to have anybody in the ballpark, even if it's just a fraction, man, I'll take it, just because it'll do us all some good to see some butts in the stands and people cheering again. That's for sure.
Yeah. And this stuff is imminent. I mean, we got spring training. We got pitchers and catchers report on Thursday. I always find that one funny, because it's like pitchers and catchers report. There's one of those that people care a lot more about in the whole scheme of things, but not to poop on the catchers here, but
right.
I find that funny.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is interesting. I mean, they got to throw to somebody, So the catchers, although Travis d'Arnaud, our starting catcher, he was a pretty darn big piece of our team last year and will be again this year. So, and we got some young catchers it'll be fun to see this year. But yeah, and those guys a little bit different for those guys too. I mean, for Behind the Braves, our interview with Tukey Toussaint for this week, he literally we did it over Zoom like we're doing here yesterday, and he called us. Literally, he had just gotten to the where he's staying in Florida. He even flipped his phone around and showed us like his suitcases were sitting there on the ground, hadn't even opened them up yet. He had just gotten there, and he's like, "Well, we don't report till Thursday, but because of the protocols and everything, they kind of have to get there. They're all there now, or I think they're all there now, and they got to quarantine for a couple of days." So he's like, man, I'm just going to be video game from now till Thursday.
Yeah.
And so it's still a different world for them too. But yeah, we're excited to get them there, and then the rest of the team there sometime next week, and get this thing rolling.
Yeah. Sherwin, tell us about that shirt you're wearing.
Oh yeah. Well, old Chipper Jones decided he was ready to get back into some ball because the ESPN gig that he had on the television didn't really go the way he wanted it to go. Obviously, that was pandemic related. But Boog Shambi, who was a good friend of his, and Braves fans will recognize that name because he used to be a Braves broadcaster, took the Cubs job. So he left ESPN to go work specifically for the Cubs. And so Chipper's like, if I ain't got Boog in the booth, I don't think I want to play, but I want to be involved in baseball. And, they kept beating him up on the local radio in Atlanta about, okay, is this like a step? Like, is this your step back in? And he's like, well, I got to be careful about that because I got two little, he's got little ones now, right? Because he's on marriage number, whatever it is. And however you do it's how you do it. But he certainly left the door open to the idea that he might one day manage the Braves.
But you never know. You never know.
I mean, he's going to be teaching guys how to hit. Like he went through this whole process of talking about how he was going to watch film all the time and he would be available anytime the guys want to call him. He would be in uniform when the Braves are at home. Hasn't really decided whether he's going to travel on the road yet, but Chipper Jones is going to be back in a Braves uniform. And I think those of us that grew up in the 90s are probably pretty excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Ricky, talking about NASCAR a little bit, maybe a little bit. This is a racing show. You posted on
sometimes.
Twitter. Yeah, you posted on Twitter. You're going to Atlanta Motor Speedway in March. What's the plan?
So my girlfriend and I. So I've been to hundreds of races in my life. This will be the first time. This sounds like a humble brag. I don't mean it that way, but this will be the first time I've just going like as a ticket paying like fan. Like I bought us 2 tickets. We're going to sit in the stands, and so she had wanted a Rick Mast T-shirt. She's been asking for me to find one for a while, which I had no problem. It was just a matter of trying to find some at my parents' house, and I'm sure I kept going. I know there's probably some stored away somewhere, but I don't know where. So over Christmas, I found a couple of T-shirts that were still in the plastic, brand new from his '95 season in the green Skull car. So I got her one of those. I'm like, all right, well, if we go to a race, like I want to wear a shirt too, but I don't want to wear the same one. So this most recent trip to Virginia, I found some shirts. I didn't post this one on Twitter, but so we got, for the folks watching on YouTube, we got the Hooters.
Oh,
now we're cooking with gas.
So this one's still brand new, never worn. Now these other 2 are definitely very worn. These are literally ones I wore as a kid in the 90s, as a big kid in the 90s, because they still fit now. So we got this one with just a giant bald eagle in purple.
I mean, come on.
That is fantastic.
Here's the back, which this wasn't on Twitter. That's what the back looks
wow.
like.
Oh, yeah.
That could be a Skinner T-shirt just as easily as it is a Rick Mast T-shirt.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Dude, that thing is legendary.
Then we got this one, which...
Look at that.
in which Rick Mast race car is inexplicably bursting out of a scene from the Vietnam War. I mean, literally, that's pretty much what it looks like. But I can't decide. So I posted on Twitter because I'm like, I kind of want to wear both these, but I can only wear one. So, and I honestly, I'll have to go back and look at the replies, but I feel like it was kind of split down the middle. So I'll have to make a game time decision. I do know this much. I brought back some, I don't know where I put them, but I brought back some Rick Mast hats too to wear. And I'm going with a one of his that he wore during the 96 season. It's a black, it's the Hooters racing hat, like even the same logo like Chase wears now, but it's just a black hat with that same logo on it. So that'll be me. And then I was thinking, I guess I need to find like I think back in the day, there were some old bandanas with the skull logo on it. And now I'm mad at myself that I didn't look for those because that would have made a good mask.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the old bandit bandanas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like Rusty and I need to make a trip on up to Virginia and rob your dad of some T-shirts.
There's still some lying around. Yeah, there's still some up in storage there. So
I'll go rob the place.
I would rock a Rick Mast T-shirt all day long.
Wear it out, brother.
I keep telling Dad, like, we need to, we keep meaning to get our podcast going again. And like, we were going to do one the other day, but then the 500 didn't end until after midnight. And we both had stuff to do first thing Monday morning. And it didn't work out. But I keep saying, I was like, we're going to start doing our show again. And then we're going to start selling Rick Mast merch. And I said, we'll get some of these old T-shirt designs, break those out and just print some more up and sell them. I wish we had a bunch of originals, but there's just not many there. But I was like, we need to just start selling some old Rick Mast T-shirts. I'm like, a couple people buy them. So why not?
You had two on the mind that'll buy some.
You know two people right here who would, I guarantee you.
All right, well, we're going to do it.
We'll keep the retirement fund healthy.
See, that's what'll get him motivated.
There you go.
I'm not approaching this thing the right way. That's what I need to tell him. Like, the retirement fund is going to be picking it up if we start selling.
Yeah. Say, oh, Rick, you about ready to upgrade that tractor? Well, we need to sell some T-shirts.
Some T-shirts and a couple koozies.
You need a new bull? Let's sell some T-shirts.
Well, gentlemen, let's talk some NASCAR. Here we go, and tearing it down for the Daytona 500. We're going to start with this, actually. Sherwin, you made a little road trip. Talk to us.
Yeah, buddy. So I was on the phone with my buddy Brett, who I went to the Indy 500 with a couple years ago, who we've seen at Bristol a couple times, including his bachelor party, which was insane. And so he's like, well, when you want to come up? I go, when can I come up? He goes, you want to come up for the Daytona 500? I go, ticket bought. Hit the button. And so, yeah.
Dude, real quick. His bachelor party, like that, I almost tore down our tent getting back in it one time. I was that sideways. So that was a and I don't think we really knew him. We kind of knew him from the show and stuff, but it was just one of those, like, as soon as you meet somebody like that, you're like, oh yeah, we're throwing down. This is fun. We're gonna have fun. And boy howdy.
I don't know if this has been this way for you, Ricky, but one thing we've discovered is, as number one, I can pretty well sniff out somebody who's fun to be around. And on Twitter, I've sniffed out a ton of fun people to be around. And this is just one of those people. And now it's like it's lifelong friendship at this point. So, yeah. I mean, that bachelor party, most of us don't remember, like, 24-hour periods of that weekend. Like, what happened that Saturday? I don't know. I'm not sure. I know there was a blow-up doll attached to a pole.
You remember?
That's all I know.
You remember when we were getting our camp spot and we're driving up in the little golf cart that the campground people have to take you to your spot, and we're like, well, we're not sure exactly where, and then we see. I'll just put it this way: Kyle Busch with a Kyle Busch cardboard cutout, and there was a plastic female who was attached to him in a suggestive manner, and we're like, yep, that's us. That's definitely us.
That's pretty much how that went. Like, oh, well, way to go, Kyle, I guess. Good for you, buddy.
Anyway, I keep interrupting your story, Sherwin. I had to get that one out. That was fun.
No, we talked about it this weekend. I mean, we went over to I don't know if you remember Ted or not, but we went over to his garage.
Me and Ted are like Facebook friends, man. I'm in.
I posted
Love
a
Ted.
picture of his Barracuda. He's got
Thing
a
is sweet.
early 70s fastback Barracuda that is bad to the bone. But he's got this really cool garage with like a bar and everything. We watched the truck race and whatever happened early during the Daytona race or the 500 before we left, and obviously that didn't end until like 1:30 in the morning. But no, we had a great time, man. It was good. We went to a local brewery. We went and had ice beers, which for anybody listening who doesn't know what an ice beer is, that's when you go to a Mexican restaurant and you get that gigantic beer that everybody knows Mexican restaurants serve, and they fill it like 2 inches from the top, and then they scoop frozen margarita on the top of it. And it is absolutely fantastic.
I got nothing to say. We talked about it last week. I'm infinitely jealous. But gentlemen, first period, 100-1 underdog Michael McDowell, former Start and Parker Levine family racing alum, ran in Xfinity, had a win like 5 years ago, and a pretty big favorite among the garage in terms of just likability and somebody that folks are rooting for. But how about that? Ricky, start with you.
Yeah, I loved it. I'm not that I'm opposed to wrecks. I know that that's part of the allure. I don't love that we've gotten to a point that that there has to be a big wreck on the last lap, but I love that he came out as the winner. I mean, you need a good underdog story every now and then in sports. I think you do. And I saw the stat out there, or whatever you want to call it, the number out there about we're on a track of every 10 years, you get an underdog gets their first win with Michael, and then Trevor Bayne, of course, Michael Waltrip the day that Dale Sr. passed. And you could go 1 year off and say Derek Cope in 1990 too. I mean, the first two Daytona 500s I even remember, 89. That was my old man's first 500, his third Cup race ever, and was in contention to win the thing. And then Derek Cope won the thing next year. So it's like, I saw a couple of people complaining about, this guy didn't deserve to win. I'm sitting there going, no, he deserved every bit of that win. He's run up front in those types of races before. And look, he was the guy. He made it through all the fray, and he was the guy there at the very end. So that was what I liked too. I really loved seeing like the other drivers that showed up and waited for him at Concord, at the airport, and like all the kids were there and they made signs, and you could just tell. And then seeing the other guys were tweeting and stuff about him, I was like, you could tell he's well liked, and that all those guys are happy for him. And how can you? I mean, everybody has their own opinion, but I'm like, how can you not be happy for a guy who, like, he had started with a factory back team, only known for having the awful wreck at Texas, pretty much by most people, gets relegated down to Start and Park, and then comes back to win the darn Daytona 500. I mean, that's just awesome. I'd love to see it. It was great. So I got no complaints. I mean, the weather was annoying, but there's not much you can do about that. I mean, I know start time is something we can talk about, but weather is weather, and it's just what it is. So I would have liked for it to end a little earlier in the day, but there's nothing you can do about that. But I was excited. I was happy for him. Don't know the man, never met him, but I was happy for him, and it certainly seemed like his fellow competitors were too.
Yeah, I think that's the general consensus among the sport, is that a good guy won the race, but it wasn't an accident, because he runs at the front of these things a lot, and so this isn't any kind of fluke. It's just where opportunity meets preparation. It's what we call luck in NASCAR. He's a good driver. He's good at plate racing. They have a good car for plate races. And there he was. And the window opened.
Yeah.
That's just kind of the way I look at it. I mean, and our guy, like our guy finished second. And I'm like, well, damn. But this is still pretty cool.
No, you're right though, and that and Ricky, you're right in that. Don't necessarily talk about the very end there, Like, talk about how the dude got to there. What's he doing in third place anyway? Whether he deserves win, whatever, you got to be there. And look who survived the first big one. Look who raced to get up there. Yeah, if you're complaining about that, I don't know what your deal is.
Yeah, I mean, he put himself in the position to win, and that's I don't know how I've seen a couple. Well, you spend time online, you'll see people complain about anything if you look hard enough. But I don't know. I don't know how you couldn't be excited about that. It was, other than the rain, is a great way to kick off the season. I was ecstatic. I can't wait to see who wins in 2031 now.
Right.
Well, and this is what it sort of kickstarted, and I kind of read through the notes. Maybe I'm skipping down too far. We need to go over the Levine racing stuff first, Russ, or you want me to skip down to the next one?
No, have at it, dude.
I was going to say,
PTM, we don't follow a script.
I know. Well, I didn't want to mess you up because you're the show director and producer. So this kickstarts the potential opportunity for us to enter the playoffs with more than 16 winners.
Playoffs?
Because we've already, and I know we shouldn't talk about playoffs yet, and I don't really care about talking about playoffs now, but this is the kind of thing that you need to happen in order for us to get to that place where NASCAR has to stop talking about it's winning you're in. No, it's like winning you might be in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we've got our first drop in that bucket of, well, if this was 2 years ago when we had 15 winners, like we'd be right on the mark. So all we need is one more of these little magical drops in the bucket. And with 5 road courses in the regular season, you never know. We might get there.
Well, and starting next week for that matter, we're not talking about, we'll see what happens in June. We'll see what happens in like late February. So yeah, there's, and absolutely, I wrote that in here with all those wild card races coming up. Can this be the year of more than 16 winners? And it's starting off that way. And yes, I'll talk about playoffs on day one of race one. Because I don't know. I feel like I've set the record last year in terms of how quickly I talked about playoffs, and that might have been in like the 5th race or so. So might as well just get it over with and set the record that can't be beat in terms of how early in the season we're talking about it. But yeah, that's it'll be interesting. Definitely watching this weekend what's going on. So yeah, Ricky, what do you think about playoffs?
Well, I think that if would you say 5 road courses in the regular season? I think you could have 5 wild card winners, or our guy Chase will have 5 wins
right.
in those. That's the way I look at it. And you know what? Either way, I'm probably going to be happy with that. So it's just the road courses obviously are the thing I think the most about. I've been most excited about with this season, which is, God, if you'd have told me that I'd be saying that 20 years ago or something, I'd say you're crazy. I liked Watkins Glen, Sears Point, but I was just like, that's enough. You don't need any more than that. But it's just funny how fandom can evolve. I mean, just as we've gone through time, I've gotten to where I absolutely love watching NASCAR and road courses. And again, hearing me even say that out loud, it's mind blowing to me, but that's how I feel. So I'm really excited for the schedule, and I think it's a great way to mix it up. And I think you guys are onto something, man. These road courses, yes, it mixes up the schedule, but boy, it sure does mix up opportunities for new winners, I think. And again, it could be Chase could go out there and dominate the whole thing, but it certainly lends an opening for, I don't know, an Allmendinger or somebody that's just showing up that isn't running every week, or so one of these road course guys. I mean, back in the day, I was always thinking that, Boris Said is going to win one of these things somehow in the Cup Series or something like that. It's always some guy I'm thinking, he's going to do it. This could be a year where we have a scenario like that.
Well, I think the driver field that we have today, we've talked about that at length here, where, there's not the ringers anymore. You want your Chase Elliott's, you want your Kyle Busch, you want your wheelmen in these races. They've learned or have evolved to be the left and right drivers.
Yeah. So, and if they haven't this year, they better be.
No kidding.
I mean, you can't be a full-time driver and just kind of get by on road courses that just it's too much of the schedule now.
Mhm.
You gotta you're if you're not good at it, you better be on the simulator. Better be out practicing somewhere where you can get some actual time in, because it's just too important now, that component of it. I mean, are you guys? I feel like I saw you guys tweet this the other day, but I'm not sure. Are you guys pro more road courses on the series?
I'm
Uh, yeah, I think 7 is a nice chunk. If they went to 9, I don't think I would balk at that. Um, I still think that they need to maintain the core of the sport, which is, if I had to trade some road courses for some short tracks, I'd be good with that. The thing is, there aren't short tracks that can support cup racing right now that exist.
Mhm.
Like, that's not a thing without significant investment. There are road courses that can support cup racing because some of them already support Xfinity racing or trucks racing or something like F1 or Indy, where you
Mhm.
still need all of that protection, on the walls, etc. I have evolved from a person who loved Daytona and Talladega, wasn't sure about short tracks, and really just had wanted nothing to do with road courses, to someone that's like, oh, we're going to do 7 road courses this year. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's do some more of that.
I would say my cup is filled in terms of satisfaction with 7 road courses. Now, if we're going to add another one, hey, let's not talk road. Let's talk street. How about we have a street course somewhere? If we're going to add on some more, I think that would be another layer that I think it's an inevitability if we can make all the stars align to run it through a city somewhere and do an F1 kind of thing. I think that's a huge thing and bring a ton of eyeballs. So yeah,
I think it's more likely that we run a street course in Nashville than it is that we run at the fairgrounds at this point.
That's funny considering how bought in they are to the fairgrounds. But I don't disagree. Maybe no, I will say I don't. Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, Indy's going to do it this year.
Mhm.
So, like, the precedent's going to be set for how safe it ought to be. Now, we know Indy cars weigh half as much as a Cup car, but that's a conversation for another day. But, I mean, they're going to have to figure out how do you manage, movable barriers that go in and out and setting up a race. But I really do think we're going to see a street race, and I think it's going to happen in Nashville.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how about the rain delay this weekend? It felt like Talladega back when me and you went, Sherwin, ran out of beer and all the rest of it. This thing ended on Monday. I'll be honest, I did not actually see the finish live. This is a school night for me, so I had to pack it up. I tried to stay up and watch it on my phone, and then it's over. So.
Well, that happened over in Indianapolis too, but thankfully for me, it happened during the rain delay. I ran fresh out of brain and went down for about 2.5 hours, and then it was time to go home. And I was like, "Well, I'm up now.
Yeah,
when's this race gonna start?
Yeah,
9:45. All right, I'm good."
Yeah.
Brett was like, he didn't see any of the end of it.
Oh man, yeah.
But he didn't take that midday nap like I did.
That was now you can call it strategic. That was a strategic nap. I was in.
Oh yeah, no, it worked perfectly.
Yeah. So we listed off all these people last week on the show that we're watching, and then suddenly, I mean, it's amazing how the stars align and everything, and the storylines that went along with all these. Chase, second place. We already talked about that. How about Harvick in 4th with the top 5? Denny 5th. Ross Chastain 7th. Larson coming back from his, what have you, in 10th. And Bubba 17th. But, overall, a pretty big showing, I would say, by the folks that we were saying we need to watch these folks in terms of stories.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
There were a lot of eyeballs on that 23 car all weekend too. And look, whether you love him or hate him, it's more eyeballs on the sport for something like that is just, I'm of the opinion that's always going to be a good thing. So I was certainly glued to that 23 car a lot, just seeing how they did. Cause it's kind of you see new teams, but you don't often see one. I don't know that we ever seen one come into the sport at that level with that level of attention. So yeah, there were so many storylines and so many things to follow coming into the season. Well, and not just into I was going to say into that race, but just into the season. It's like I am finding myself. I talked about how excited I was about the Braves earlier. I'm finding myself making sure I'm checking the net, like my NASCAR. I've got the NASCAR app on my phone, so I'm making sure I check like times, like green flag times for all 3 national series, and like I feel like this is. Obviously I would do just about anything to have taken away all this stuff that's happened to us and around the world the last year with the pandemic and everything else. But if there's some positives that have come out of it, at least for our area of interest of NASCAR, I feel like NASCAR has really come out of this whole year really just with as much momentum and good vibes around the sport as I feel like we've seen in a long time. I could be wrong. Maybe that could be just me, but personally, that's the way I feel about it. And I think it's because of the schedule changes we talked about. You got 2311. I mean, there's all these different things. Chase Elliott, the sport's most popular driver, is the reigning champion. I mean, I could just go on and on. So I'm, it's so many storylines, and they don't end in Daytona. They carry on this week, and like I'm already itching, can't wait for them to get back out there this weekend for the whatever the sponsor is, 253 or whatever. I got a kick out of that, looking at all 3, and I'm like, oh, we got just random numbers for all 3 races this weekend. Let's go. I like it. It's different.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, well, how about Pitbull? That's pretty cool. That he wants to get involved with this, and I mean, certainly we have a tremendous Latin community in this country, and if we can get them interested in the same kind of race cars that we're interested in, that's certainly going to be good for the sport.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Second period here. How about did y'all see the Ross Chastain deal with the McDonald's drive-through thing? Man, that was hilarious.
That was great. Made TMZ too, by the way. TMZ did a story on NASCAR driver, who shows up at McDonald's drive-through, which was hilarious. He's one. He seems like a cool guy. I like him. I like that T-shirt. Did y'all see that T-shirt? He's got the Watermelon Man.
Oh yeah,
it's the 42, just made out of watermelon. I saw that and I was like, darn.
Oh yeah.
If I can find that when I go to the Cup race in Atlanta, like I would buy that shirt. I'm
definitely buying that T-shirt.
Absolutely.
That is a thing that's going to happen.
The McDonald's server lady in the drive-through who recognized him immediately, like, you're in this race. What are you doing? Like her reaction was hilarious and good on him. And I think they said like he ordered something like 6 of everything on the menu plus a milkshake for himself or something like that. And so, oh man, that was
that reminds me when we burned down the In-N-Out burger at Vegas.
Oh man,
I've got a quick. I might have told this on here before. I don't know. I know I told it on an old Masscast a couple years ago, but a McDonald's drive-through story, NASCAR related, at Martinsville around 91 or 92. We stopped at we were staying at a hotel, and so we stopped at McDonald's on the way to the track. Just me, my mom, and dad to get Egg McMuffins for breakfast. And so there was one car we pull around. There's one car already up at the window. And we noticed that the lady that was running the cash register was like real excited and animated. And she hands something to whoever's driving the car in front of us. And we see him sign it. And so dad kind of peered in there and he goes, "Oh, that's Davey." And it was Davey Allison.
Oh, wow.
So dad just nudges up and bumps Davey's car in the McDonald's drive-thru, and Davey's sitting there turning around and is like, "What the hell?" And then he sees his dad, so then he throws it in reverse and then bumps us. And I'll never forget. I was laughing, and then I'll peer in through the McDonald's drive-thru window, and I see it was like 3 ladies in there working, and they're all just losing their minds, laughing hysterically because now there's 2 NASCAR drivers that are beating and banging each other's cars in the drive-thru. So. That was a very fond memory of our travels to the track back then.
That is a fantastic story, and I got nothing to follow that other than Rusty and I left like Vegas after we hit something on the what was that? What's that? Keno. Rusty hit something on Keno.
I hit $60 on Keno. I remember. Yeah,
he hit $60 on Keno, and we went to In-N-Out and ordered everything on the value menu. It was like $65 worth of crap. It was awesome.
Oh man, yeah, that was a hell of a deal. No, that's hilarious. This is why you're listening to PTM, y'all. You hear about Davey Allison and Rick Mass getting into a crash fest at the McDonald's drive-thru.
Bringing Days of Thunder on the beach at a McDonald's.
It's Days of Thunder on the beach, McDonald's in Martinsville. Kind of, it's the same thing, really.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh man. Well, let's talk quickly about the other series here: Xfinity, Cindric, Moffitt, Harrison Burton, Jeb Burton, and how about Dinger coming out with the top 5 in Martinsville? So strong showing to kick off the season here.
You mean Daytona?
What did I say?
You said Martinsville. That's so funny.
Ricky got me.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, distracted.
That was a Freudian slip.
I got to roll it back. I swear I said Daytona, but I believe you that I said Martinsville.
No, it's awesome. I do that crap all the time.
Yeah, right. Oh man, no, that's awesome though. It's been, what's the Dinger doing, and how's this going to work out and everything. I thought that was really cool. Speechless.
Yeah, and I've really enjoyed just the colleague racing guys. I like seeing an organization like that that's so dedicated to the Xfinity Series, and I assume we'll maybe make the jump up here at some point. But it's good to see, and the Virginian in me, who's known the Burtons or grew up around Ward and those guys, to see Jeb up there doing well, and Harrison too. I mean, both of those boys to be in there. I say boys. I mean, God, Jeb's in his late 20s now. Harrison's still a kid, but he can drive. So it's great to see. And Cindric, I mean, I got to give Cindric credit. Like he's, it would be easy to say he's been given a lot of things because of who his dad is. But I mean, from what I can see, the guy can drive, and he's doing it. And I think he's gonna. Well, I guess he moves up to Wood Brothers next year, if I remember right. If I got all my silly season stuff straight in my head.
No, you got it. You got it.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think. Again, it's another thing that excites me about NASCAR is it's not just the Cup Series. I'm legitimately interested to watch every series. I'm not Truck Series is usually one I'm always excited about. This year, I think for whatever reason, because of some of these names we just mentioned, I feel like I'm even more excited to watch Xfinity this year, which is a good thing. Like it's good for me as a fan to flip that up a little bit to where it's like the next level down. I look forward to watching those races as much as I do Cup.
Absolutely. We've been talking about on the show how Xfinity has something to bring to the table this year, Sherwin.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I mean, I think they absolutely do, but we did talk with Brandon from Lap Traffic last week about how the Xfinity Series might take a back seat to trucks.
Absolutely.
And because of how much awesome things are happening in trucks, but there's still almost as much awesome things happening in Xfinity. So it's like, I mean, if you're going to get into this sport now, just watch all 3 of them.
Yep.
I mean, it's 3 days in a row of just awesome stuff. And if you're going to Atlanta, you get to see the trucks and the Xfinity on the same day.
Yes, sir. And you talking about trucks, Roger in the comments just said Jordan Anderson needs a longer Silverado. How about that showing from Jordan Anderson? Ben Rhodes, what a finish there, and Truex in 4th there. The other Truex, the not junior.
Ryan Truex Jr. Sorry, Ryan Truex. I know you're not a junior.
He of the Go Ryan T-shirts that I always love.
I bought Rusty and I both one.
Yeah, I might have worn it either to work the other day or maybe on the show. I can't even remember. Well, if I wore it to work, I probably wore it on the show. So, yeah.
Well, how ironic is it that it's a kid from out near Six Flags that's in that same truck now?
Yeah, right.
Austin Hill.
Yeah. But yeah, that's super cool. And Jordan Anderson, I mean, you remember back when we had our name on Jordan Anderson's truck for like $5 or $50 or whatever it was, when he went and hand rode everybody. And now, to see him come up from that level of, grassroots stuff that we always talk about. And, to have that kind of finish, that's awesome. Yeah,
he's just a good dude, all around good dude.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it only cost $50, but it was
No.
still worth it to be a part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, yeah, I'm super happy for Jordan. That's really cool for him to get a finish like that. Because, yeah, the reality is, in a situation that he's working with, that probably just bought him 2 more cars.
Yeah.
To get that paycheck.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yep. And wasn't he the one? Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he have his stuff stolen at one point too? Like, I mean, he hit rock bottom at some point.
Yes, he had a hauler stolen.
Yeah,
a couple years ago.
Yeah. So to see that kind of turnaround, how cool. So, gentlemen, let's do this. Gassing it up. Woo! There it is. Probably blew the eardrums out there. Appreciate y'all hanging on for it. But it's Daytona, round 2. It's time for the road course. So, Ricky, what are you looking forward to at the road course here at Daytona?
I just, we've talked about it already. You've got 5 of these things in the regular season this year. And I just look to see that the tone's going to I wonder if we're going to set a tone for what we might see on the rest of these things this year. Is like, I expect Chase, Martin Truex Jr., like I expect a couple of these guys to be Blaney. I expect some of these guys to be the ones running up front. And to be fair, I'm biased because those are the names that I root for probably the most. There's other guys too, but like those are the guys I like seeing up front. So I'm excited as a fan to see some of the guys I pull for. I think that they'll perform well. I just find in general road course racing at this point, the brand of NASCAR racing on road courses, I just find so entertaining. And it's like we go from the Daytona 500 to another form of NASCAR racing that I just find, at least at this point in 2021, I just think it's awesome. It's just great to watch. It's a great TV sport to watch. I'd rather be there in person, but so I think we're kind of kicking off where so many of us have talked about and focused on the road courses this year, as we should, because there's so many of them, and this is kicking that off. Last week kicked off the season, but this is kicking off I feel like this is kind of kicking off this new little era that we've entered here in NASCAR with the schedule changes. This is kind of the first part of that. Due to the pandemic, we kind of dipped into that a little bit last year with running the Daytona Road Course and some of those things. But this is kind of, to me, it feels like, all right, this is the start of this thing. We've revamped the schedule. And again, I know this is Daytona Road Course yet again, pandemic related, that we're going there as opposed to I'm having a brain fart. What did we postpone? California?
No, it was what's the one in Miami? Homestead.
I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, Homestead. So we changed some things around there, but I'm just pumped, man.
We postponed Homestead, but they canceled California. So that's right. That's where that discrepancy is.
That's right. Sorry, I got all my. There's so many schedule changes and things that change up because in the last year that it's hard to keep up with what's what. I knew they were during the Daytona Road Course this weekend, so that's the main thing. So yeah, I'm just excited to see. I think that those guys that I mentioned, I think Chase will win this one is really what I think. I don't usually like to predict stuff, but I do think Chase will win. I'm not saying I don't think he's going to win all of them like I was joking earlier, but the first one out of the box, if you made me bet on it, I think the 9 car wins it this weekend.
Coming off a second place finish at the 500 and having a taste of that, I think is absolutely, something. Sherwin?
Well, didn't he finish second in his duel and second in the in the clash or somewhere in that neighborhood? He was like, he was second in the clash for sure. I can't remember where he finished in his duel, but I mean, he's not showing any drop off, and it's like, okay, well, Chase can still race on a road course, obviously. So we know who we have to beat when we come back here.
Right. And I feel like I do this every year. I lament a little bit that there's all the hype, all the prestige, all the pomp and circumstance of the Daytona 500. But it's the next race. The next one. Via Ron White there. That's the one you need to be watching, everybody. Come back next week and watch really what's going on. And this week with the Daytona Road Course, I mean, this is the one, Daytona 500, like I said, I didn't even finish it, but that was more due to, the timing deal and rain. But even if I didn't watch it live or whatever and it didn't have the rain delay, I'm not going to lament too much. But this is the must-watch race right here. I'm super excited to see what goes on this weekend. So with that, this weekend, let's go ahead and do some picks. And, we usually give it up to our guest to start. But, Ricky, I think you've already given us your pick there, huh?
Yeah, I guess I kind of jumped the gun a little bit there. But, yeah, I'm picking Chase. Those three, it's to me, I would pick any of them. I feel like I'd have a winner. It would be Chase, Truex, and Blaney. But I'll stick with Chase. Right
on. Well, Sherwin, in the Lab Traffic Fantasy, it's been a while since me and you did fantasy, and I believe I finished something like 38th, and you finished something like 45th. So we've got those.
Wasn't good.
Yeah, those banners to hang. So with that, why don't you give us your pick for the Daytona Road Course?
Well, the only other number that I wear regularly. So I'm going to pick Ryan Blaney.
Blaney. Yes, sir. So I picked Blaney this last weekend. He finished something like 17th or 32nd or not 17th. That's what Bubba finished. I think it was 30-something.
He was in the first wreck, unfortunately.
Horrific there. However, it's time, gentlemen. I'm picking Ross Chastain for the Daytona Road Course. I don't know if that's a good idea.
I love it. But I love it. Love to see it. That's what I like to hear. Now we're talking.
This is Watermelon Man.
That's right.
So we'll have to do some after dark because I think we're about done with the audio. But let's talk about that after dark.
Let's do that. Well, and you said it. It's time to close this thing down. I can't believe it's already been an hour and more. Ricky, it's always a blast to have you on. Appreciate it, and can't wait to talk a little bit more maybe in the After Dark. But why don't you tell the folks what you're up to, what's coming up next, and where they can find you?
Yeah, just anywhere you get your podcast, check out Behind the Braves, official podcast of the Braves. Myself and Greg McMichael are on there, and we're excited to be kicking off our third season as we kick off the Atlanta Braves 2021 season. So find us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, Behind the Braves. And I'm on Twitter, Ricky Mast. I don't tweet as much these days just because I tweet for a living too. But yeah, just check us out if you're into baseball at all, or you want to hear some old stories from some old ball players or some new ball players. Check us out on there.
Right on. Well, Sherwin, close us out.
That's awesome. Well, you can find us at all of the social media stuff at PETM Podcast. You can find me at Andrew L. Sherwin on pregame and on the Instagram. So, or you can find me at pregame engineer on Twitter and at Andrew L. Sherwin on Instagram, Stutter Step. And then Rusty, where can they find you?
Well, they can find us, PETM Podcast, at PETM or PETMPodcast.com. We've screwed this thing all up. It is PETMPodcast.com at PETM Podcast. If you're listening, you're probably following. Appreciate y'all hanging out. As always, I'm Rusty Wallace at Tailgate Mayor. Can't wait to talk to y'all next week. And Daytona Road Course, we're going to have so much to discuss. We'll see y'all then. All right, that's it for the recorded session. We are still live on the YouTube. Ricky, good times, man.
Yeah, guys, it's always fun hanging out with y'all, and I hope that hope we all get the vaccine soon enough so we can actually, a bunch of us go to a race at some point and meet up or do a little tailgating and stuff. That would be a lot of fun.
Oh man!
Well, I was thinking about that because I was getting a bunch of texts today from friends that were like, "Are you going to renew your Georgia Tech tickets?" And I said, well, yeah, that's my intention. I don't know how many I'll get to being where I live now, but I believe the Wahoos are back in Atlanta this year.
Ah,
it would be, that was 2 years ago. Yes, it would be every year. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So we would, if we get to do it, we'd love to have you at the tailgate again. That was awesome.
That'd be great. Yeah, I'd love that. I feel like and hope and pray that by the fall, that by the time that game rolls around, we'll be in this place where we can all hang out again. I think we will be able to. So let's hope that happens.
Yeah, for sure. I always am guilty of not scripting any closure for me when Rusty throws it to me to sort of start closing the show. We have Julia Landauer on next week, which is pretty cool. She's sharp.
Very cool.
That is a very sharp girl. And she just spent a whole year racing NASCAR Europe.
Oh, wow.
Which is all road courses. So it's probably going to be a good fit for the conversation.
Right?
Yeah, a couple nerds together. She graduated from Stanford, so Rusty and I are probably going to be like holding our hats in our hand again, like going, this person's smart, and she races race cars.
Right.
And she was the first person to ever say fuck on our show, which is hilarious.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Oh, man, the only thing I lament, Ricky, about not being in Atlanta anymore is having developed relationships like this where, with people that are like in the Atlanta community and not being able to actualize on them. Now, obviously, within the pandemic situation, we hadn't been able to do a whole lot of that anyway.
Yeah, I can't actualize anything right now.
You pretty much just can't do it. And so, suspend all of that angst. But, yeah, man, I'm so super stoked for the Braves. Like, Crackcast isn't working for me right now, so I'm having to figure it out because I'm doing the whole cut cord thing. I got the YouTube TV, but they're fighting with Fox on regional broadcasting. And so they don't carry, I don't get the Hawks and I don't get the Braves unless I go find somewhere to do it. I mean, I can listen to it on my phone through the 680 The Fan app, which I've done. I did a lot of this fall.
Yeah.
Until the playoffs started.
I do love listening to, I work all the games, but when I was still just a fan, there were plenty of times I enjoyed really listening to baseball on the radio. And then Ben Ingram, who's one of the play-by-play guys on radio. I mean, he's a buddy of mine. I just think he's so darn good at calling the games. I just love his style and his play-by-play. So, I listening to baseball on the radio is not a bad thing at all. If that's the route you go, the old soul in me still loves baseball on the radio. So,
so that's kind of the way I grew up with it, was listening to it on the radio. And Ben Ingram, man, he's got that booming baritone voice, but he's like 32 years old. You're like, how can you have that much noise coming out of your face and be that young? You just don't expect it, right? You expect it to be somebody older. But his call of that spring training game, it's probably been 5 years now, where somebody fouled one off and hit a seagull, just center punched a seagull, and he goes, he hit a bird, and that bird is dead.
It's maybe my favorite call in the history of baseball. I think it's on YouTube. I know somebody has it on their SoundCloud. You can Google it and find it. It is just, I've heard it a zillion times, and it's just the best. And he gets a kick out of it too. I mean, people bring it up to him all the time, and it's so darn fun. It's a perched bird, and it is dead.
It is dead.
It's great.
Like
Ben is awesome.
Just out of body moment for him. Just brain and mouth are working, but like nothing else is going on. It is dead.
I gotta tell you,
and he's got this, Rusty, I don't know if you've ever listened to him. He's got this like Trace Adkins like baritone voice.
Yeah.
Like, he is dead.
I think it's on YouTube. It's you just get Ben Ingram bird or Ben. I think they were playing the Tigers. I can't remember the guy who was batting, but it's worth 30 seconds of your time to look it up sometime when you can. So
I'm seeing if I can find it. Ben Ingram.
Oh, you got to watch it. Like, it's totally worth it. You're gonna laugh. It won't be as funny as the time you had to look up what a Utah standoff was, but it'll be close. Oh man.
Yeah, I'm having trouble finding it here. But no, I'll
So
find it
Ricky,
eventually.
what are y'all planning to do for like going to the race in March? Like you said, you got the girlfriend and you're doing the t-shirts and whatnot. Like what you
Yeah.
have a relationship with Atlanta Motor Speedway? Do I need to facilitate anything here? Because
No,
I,
I actually just wanted to, because I usually I'd pull strings and get like pit passes or something like that. But I was like, obviously that wasn't really an option this time. I was like, like I've never just bought tickets and just sat in the stands like at a race. Been to races forever. We've been going my whole life, but I was like, I've never done that. I was like, I kind of just want to go and let's just do this just as fans. So I got us good seats. Well, we haven't been assigned seats yet, but it's like we bought the section
Mhm.
that we're in or whatever. They're doing it different this time around, obviously. But um so no, I didn't even want to try to do anything like that this time. I was like, I'm just gonna buy us 2 tickets and we're just gonna go that way for once and just enjoy it that way. So I'm excited,
so
man. Can't wait.
I'm glad for you because Rusty and I are kind of like on the other side of that coin, where we went to a ton of races just as fans. And
Still do.
then somehow we managed to wander ourselves into this space where like we get some media opportunities at times.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to kind of pick and choose when we like exercise those options.
Yep.
Obviously I would reach out to whoever I needed to reach out to get those options. Atlanta Motor Speedway has been very receptive. We've done the full on media thing there. I've done the full on media thing at Michigan a couple of times, thanks to our friends at Lap Traffic. But there's some value. Like
Did we lose him?
Oh, maybe so. I was like, it's probably me. Usually
No. No.
usually it's my
Yeah,
stuff that goes down at this point in time and in the evening for whatever reason. But
there he
Kevin
is.
spot,
There he is.
you're already in the race.
sure, when we
Oh,
lost you for about 60 seconds there.
oh crap! It does tell me right there. No, what I was saying is Atlanta Motor Speedway just released $75 infield camping spots,
Oh, nice.
Hmm.
and I'm like,
Wow.
okay, well if it's that cheap, and Rusty and I we've tent camped in snow, and we've tent camped when it was 100 degrees.
True. All the
Do
way
we
around.
want to tent camp and do that wild ass shit spaced out, or do I need to reach out to Atlanta Motor Speedway and say, are we allowed to do media, or are we extraneous enough that you don't want us around? Because then we just had to be fans again, which is fine. So Ricky, for your benefit, I don't know if I told you this the last time we talked, but last time Rusty and I went to Atlanta Motor Speedway, we had like the for lack of a better way of saying it, we had the fuck you sticker that basically we could go anywhere. Like nobody could tell us no. And so we wandered around. Rusty got chased out of a cameraman stand. It was hilarious. Like we went everywhere. And then we went back down to the media center, and the Mandy that runs the social media stuff for Atlanta Motor Speedway was like, what did y'all go see? Everything you were supposed to see, and then maybe some stuff you weren't supposed to? And I was like, yeah, I think we did that. I'm sure that we did that.
Oh,
She
yeah.
goes, good. That's what you were supposed to do.
Yeah. She's like, you don't know
All
the
right.
limits till you're told no. Like, well, ma'am.
That's awesome.
So Mandy at Atlanta Motor Speedway, if you need the hookup,
We need to
she
have
might
her
be able to
on.
help you.
We need to have her
I
on
might
at
look
some
into
point.
it.
I might be able to put in a good word for you.
I appreciate that. Heck yeah. Oh, well, boys, I'm going to get off here and answer some emails. And my old butt is tired. I was driving all day, and I'm going to hit the bed. But I appreciate y'all having me on as always, man.
Dude,
This is always it's always a blast, and I really enjoy it. I appreciate y'all having me.
Absolute pleasure.
Yeah, we
do it
thank
for
you
fun.
for saying yes, man. That's the thing we say over and over and over is just the number of people that say yes is exceptional. it's amazing, really.
Yeah, I get it. I feel the same way with my show too. It's just I'm always so appreciative of people who will say yes and spend some time, and it's just yeah. Being on both sides of it. It makes me happy either way. So I appreciate y'all.
Right on. And just in the nick of time too. We are on all the places, iTunes, everything else. The show has been done. We are, let's see, I'm tweeting it out right now and pinning it to the page, and that is the end of what I have to do, all technical wise. So we're out there. It's ready to roll.
All right.
Y'all enjoy.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Ricky, pleasure as always.
All right, boys. We'll see you.
Catch you
Thanks,
later, man.
Ricky.
Thanks, guys.
I need a drink.
Tell you what,
Man, that's so much fun.
man, he's such a good. I mean, I hope like hell we can get to that Virginia game and meet up with him again.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That'd be so much fun.
I had a phone call come in from a number that looks like it's from Georgia Tech, so they're probably wanting me to re-up the tickets again this year. And I did the whole like I think I donated the money last year or whatever, but I've got some carryover money, so it shouldn't hit as hard on the wallet.
So Patricia texted me today because apparently if you renew by Friday, you get $26 off.
Oh, well, I probably ought to do that. I mean, it's like, $26 on however much money it is, and ain't a ton, but it's something. It's it's a pizza.
Well, and that's why I told her, I said, I'm planning to buy my tickets. I'll talk to Rusty. I said, I don't know how many I'll make it to. I said, but I'm planning on buying them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know I can give them to somebody if I don't get to go. But so if you're in, I'm in.
Yeah. I just got to do it. I mean, it's not like it doesn't break the bank at this point in terms of like I said, the money's already there. I think I just got to pay like $100 or something, and I get season tickets. So it's like I already committed to this last year, I guess is my point. You know what I mean?
Well, so I deferred for obvious reasons.
Right.
Being unemployed. But they didn't defer my continuum status.
That's cool.
They
gave me the option. Yeah.
Yeah, I was planning on buying the tickets, and then I hope I get to come to as many as I get to come to, but as long as you guys stay committed to it, I'm committed to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much us two at this point. I don't know what Colin's up to, but, we'll figure it out.
Well, he needs to pick up another seat for the old girl.
Yeah, for Bailey. Yeah. We'll just have him in there. Anyway, I'm going to shut down the old YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a blast. Good to see y'all.
That was fun, man.
Yeah.
Ricky's a cool dude.
Yeah, he is. Julia Landauer next week. It's going to be fun.